Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right. Pulling up this screen. Houston, we have a problem. We had a very, very bad day yesterday, and today has not been terrific either. Now, I just want to go ahead and tell you, if you're somebody that's easily triggered, it's not the video for you, because you might get upset and you might suffer from a macro. This could be a macroaggression or it'd be a macroaggression. So if you're a millennial especially, you probably ought to go find a safe space, something like that, okay? So you've been warned. The first bit of bad news is our wide receiver, J.J. Harrell, has decommitted, and he had told everybody that his recruitment was back open a few weeks ago, so this is not a shock. A lot of people were kind of expecting this. I saw some videos on YouTube, are we going to lose J.J. Harrell and stuff like that. So you shouldn't be shocked, but it's still bad news. He was a highly recruited four-star, and he said that he rushed the process. He was the number 123rd overall prospect, so he was a good, solid four-star, number one wide receiver out of Mississippi. Looks like he's going to commit to Ole Miss. So our boy Lane Kiffin jumped on this situation, and I can kind of understand that. You don't want to lose the number one player out of Mississippi to the Vols, especially Lane Kiffin. He probably had to throw in some of his own money. He's got plenty of it into the NIL, which he can't do that. But anyway, you take the point. So that's the first bit of bad news. Now, that's a wide receiver. So, look, if it was a defensive back or an offensive lineman, I'd be upset, especially at number 123. But given the fact that we're trying to pick up a couple of five-star wide receivers and Mike Matthews and Ryan Wingo, you know, I'm not too upset about it. Also, Amari Jefferson out of Tennessee is another guy we're after. So I'm just not that concerned about wide receiver. I don't know why. I think it's just because, well, I do know why. It's because I think Josh Heupel can attract the wide receivers that he wants, especially in this offense, and I'm just not that concerned about it. So anyway, but that is bad news. There's no other way to paint it. Number two bit of bad news is the number one player in Georgia, Sammy Brown, has committed to Clemson. Now, I was not expecting that. I thought he would wind up at Georgia. You know, he's been to Knoxville many, many times, and the Vols would have loved to have had him, but I kind of felt like we were going to lose him to Georgia. I was a little surprised at Clemson, but he may not want to play in the SEC. Look, he can go over there and dominate the ACC and get right into the NFL. So that's actually probably the easier route for him, and he'll get playing time right off the bat. At Georgia, maybe not. That might not have been the case. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad decision. I would love to have him at Tennessee, but, you know, so be it. So that was a guy we were in on. We didn't get him, and he committed early to Clemson, so that really helps the Tigers. Now, here's the one that surprised the crap out of me. The Cameron Fountain commits to USC over the Vols. We were looking great for him. We'd had the crystal balls. Everybody was leaning towards us. I think he'd even gone so far as told the staff that he was going to commit to them. So this is disappointing all the way across the board. I don't think there's much question USC threw money at him, and I can understand why they did. He's very highly ranked, super high four-star, and USC's defense sucks. And that's really their big problem. So the fact they're throwing money at it, and USC's got plenty of it. So I think that's what happened. Now, granted, he's going to be in California. Just to get into the finances of that, he's going to give up about 12 to 14% of that money right off the bat to the state. So if they threw, say, $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 at him, you can knock 14% off of that right off the bat. So anyway, just something to consider there for all these recruits that go out west. But anyway, he did commit to Lincoln Riley, guy that ran from Oklahoma because he didn't want to play in the SEC. Brave Sir Lincoln.
Brave Sir Robin ran away. No. Bravely ran away. I didn't.
Said the Trojans beat out Tennessee and South Carolina. I'm just shocked how quickly. It must have thrown a bunch of money at that dude. He was the number 6 edge rusher, number 50 overall prospect. So, you know, a really good recruit. So that kind of stinks. On top of that, we lost the softball game last night to Florida State. So we didn't, now granted, they'd had to win both those games, and Florida State's very good. So that wasn't exactly something that I was expecting to pull off. But it was unfortunate for the Lady Vols softball team. That was a fun game to watch. It just kind of stunk that they lost. But anyway, they had a nice run. Look, they won the SEC. They won the SEC tournament. So before anybody, and they made it to the World Series in the Final Four. So If anybody says they didn't win anything, wrong. They won a lot. When you win the SEC and the SEC tournament, you've won a lot. Anyway, now we got the other bit of good news, bad news. The Vols baseball team made it to the Super Regional, and they had put in a bid for it to be at Knoxville. And they wound up, the NCAA picked Southern Miss to have it there at Hattiesburg Super Regional with a spot at the College World Series on the line, of course. So, if we win this, it'll be a 2 out of 3. And like I said, if they win, they go to the College World Series, which will be in Omaha.
Omaha! 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 Omaha!
That's right, Omaha. Peyton knows. It's a best of 3 series, starts at Saturday on ESPNU. NCAA media representative Jeff Williams said in a statement prior to the onset of the tournament, the committee would weigh the merits of the bids in selecting a host. All I can tell you is this. They picked Hattiesburg over Knoxville, Tennessee. With our awesome stadium, you got to be kidding me. We could have handled that no problem. It would have been full as can possibly be. It would have been loud, and it would have been fantastic. I hate it that my brothers would have been there. I promise you that. So I hate it for Chilmont and Junebug because they would have loved that. So that's disappointing. So it's just a bad day or two, man. I'm telling you, sometimes this happens in recruiting and in sports. You just have a couple of bad days. And Houston, we definitely had a problem.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
Sorry. Hopefully things get better. You're going to have bad days or bad couple of days in sports, just the way it is. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like. Well, you probably don't like this content, but you could still hit the like button. Nobody stopped. That's one positive thing you could do today. And if you haven't subscribed, it's on your right, my left. Just boom, hit that little button is all you got to do. It'll make it so much easier for you to get my videos. You don't have to hunt for them. And right over here's my most recent video. Be sure to check that one out. YouTube thinks you'll like it. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.